we shall
It
discuss.
honestly sounds like a little bit of this could just be me, but from the story itself, it sounds like it could be a Michael parallel.
Okay.
Hello?
Michael, welcome back. After
Yeah, sorry, just
you
making sure
you
that
were
my
gone
volume
for
was
two
working.
seconds. You were gone for 2 seconds.
Yeah, I didn't know if you guys could hear me, so.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, we can.
Um, Michael. I didn't really get that vibe. I mean, I got Michael Afton parallels, but not with Dirk. More so, just like with like the discussion at the beginning of the story, right? And I think a lot of people have been talking about that. How they were talking about how like one of the characters was based on Foxy, and they like wear purple,
Oh,
right? And people have been saying that's like a Mike Bro parallel.
Something like that.
And I think that's also part of what um converted Spooter to Mike Bro, but I think he changed back to Mike Victim again. So
well, I think. Well, this was just but the ending sounded like what we experience for Michael constantly, and is that the consequences will always follow you.
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like the Scoop and Felix the Shark are really similar. Like they're both like the main character trying to
Okay.
prove themselves right, or like trying too
Yes.
hard to discover,
Yes.
like trying too hard to just like I get I guess just trying too hard in general and going on like an adventure to figure out the truth of
They're
something,
trying to
you
prove
know?
themselves, but when they're not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
trying to
exactly.
prove themselves right. As with both of them are kind of trying to prove themselves right. Like Mandy with like the like she's trying to prove that the image isn't fake and that it actually
Right.
is real and that maybe it could have lore relevance. And obviously Dirk is trying to prove that Felix the Shark did exist, right?
Yes.
Right.
You know, I feel like the majority of this discussion will definitely be on You're the Band because that's by far the most interesting story.
Definitely.
One of the more interesting stories in the series, in my opinion. Maybe not the most
Without
interesting,
a
but
doubt.
one of the more interesting.
Hmm.
It is really interesting.
But yeah, what do you guys think like Felix the Shark itself could mean? I didn't see too much
Mm,
lore in it, to be honest.
Just from what I've heard about the summary, I don't think there's any lore relevance.
I mean,
neither do
I
I.
think there's some, but like there's not as much as the other two stories. Especially
I
You're the
thought,
Band.
yeah, I thought lore was possible for Felix the Shark, but at the same time, I'm just like, hmm. It felt kind of out of place, if I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest.
do you think it's in the stitch line or no?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think there's really anything going against it being in the stitch line, but there's nothing proving that it is either.
Well, I think the evidence would have to be from the words themselves, and if I'm correct, wasn't there anything that wasn't suggesting that it was?
Mm,
There wasn't really anything suggesting that it was, but nothing goes
Okay.
against it either. I don't think. What about the scoop?
It's also it's very weird, but when we talk about in You're the Band, that has some lore relevance, but Felix the Shark
Absolutely.
does not seem to have
yeah.
anything.
Yeah. The scoop does
Yeah.
have lore though, I think.
I think so too.
I think there's a few different things that it could be talking about. First of all, I think Scott's trying to tell us like he wrote the story himself, right? So I think it's very clear he's like, guys, you're taking lore too seriously, you know. I think that's definitely
Probably.
one like one thing the story is trying to tell us. Like we looked
But that we take
we
lore too seriously.
yeah, and like some people
Because
say
that would be true.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people just like think you're stupid because you believe a certain theory, whether it has a lot of evidence or not. You're just like, no, you're dumbass.
Maybe
You
fifth.
know?
Yeah.
Oh god.
BB Fib, here we go again.
Let's not talk about BU fifth
I
Krakoa.
just got my
Yeah.
shit in for the day.
Okay.
Okay, you
Um,
good now? You got it out?
you got it out?
Yes.
Okay. But The scoop. What do you guys think about the scoop?
Interesting. Very interesting.
The
I don't know how to explain it, but it sounds like it's just as you said like before, it's Scott just saying don't look too much into things, but it's also could be like playing on the fact that we think that we exist in their continuity.
yeah. I think it was Libra in the other group chat. He said that he thinks it's possible for this story to be in the stitch line, but I think it's very clear that it's not. Right?
No.
Because
I don't think it is.
I mean,
I don't think any of them are.
it could be possible if it weren't for the fact that Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and all that stuff doesn't actually exist in the Scoops universe. It is really only a game series.
Yeah.
Also, what do you guys think about the fact that remember MatPat's original theory that it could have been based on like a real event? Maybe that was true. Maybe that actually like was true, but like I don't know, like maybe it was actually based on a real event. I mean, not the same as it was in this story, you know, but a different one.
I think Scott actually commented on that and said that it wasn't.
I don't know. I mean, it might have been partially, but like not exclusively.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Could be just coincidence, though.
Yeah, it could have been.
It could be, you know.
I feel like in terms of parallels, the Scoop is really similar to Friendly Face, where like the main character, it's like they're like a parallel to Michael in a sense, and the dead character is like a parallel to the bite victim, right? But at the same time, it's like the main character is the bite victim, and the dead character is Charlotte. That's an observation I've had, right? Where it's like in Friendly Face, when what's his name? Edward, when he gets the friendly face thing, it like follows him everywhere, which is really similar to the Fredbear plushie, right? And it's like his
Kinda, yeah.
and it's like his dead friend, so that could be like a parallel to Charlotte plush, right? And another thing is that now in the Scoop, right? The dead character, what's his name? Stevie? Yeah, Stevie. He follows Mandy everywhere, but even more like the Fredbear plushie, because Stevie, like, when Mandy tries to run away from him, the Fredbear plushie is in the spot that she ran to, while at the same time he was just at another point, right? It's like he teleports, just similar to the Fredbear plushie. Though obviously, I don't think the Fredbear plushie is teleporting. I think there's just multiple of it set up. But like the thing, it's just really similar. Wherever she goes, the kid is there, and I think that's I feel like that's definitely a parallel to the Fredbear plushie.
But the funny thing is, at the end when they discover the body, it reminded me of how like so it was discovered like in the mouth area, right?
No, I'm pretty sure like Stevie appeared, he turned the head, and then he disappeared, and then Mandy went up to it, and then she turned it more and took the head off, and she looked inside, and that's just inside in general is where she found the body. Like the head was taken off beforehand.
I was gonna say like the head part reminded me of how like the bite victim was stuck inside the head.
No, but the head thing is really similar too, because if in the story it's mentioned that it's a bear animatronic, right?
Yes.
And not only that, it's at a family diner. Like that's literally said in the story. It's a family diner. And also, not to mention that it's repurposed into another building, could be a reference to Fredbear's possibly being FNAF 6. But not only that, the bear, animatronic, has his mouth nailed shut.
Oh.
Hmm.
Yeah. Right.
And that's something I found really interesting because, well, Fredbear bit the bite victim, right?
Yes.
Also, I had the idea that if Stevie really is meant to be a Charlotte and possibly bite victim parallel, maybe that proves that Charlotte was killed at Fredbear's rather than Freddy's. I feel like that's still debated. Like, I don't really know which one. It could have been either, but I think
it's still Fredbear's.
I think it probably is Fredbear's, but I mean it could be Freddy's, but I think it could be Freddy's too, but based on this story, it maybe is more likely that it's Fredbear's.
Oh, that reminds me. So a few days ago, we were looking in things, just laughing about the lawsuits in FNAF 6, and then we found something that could further connect it to Fredbear's.
Yeah. Okay.
It says that it was the 5th judicial district or something, and it happened to be like connected to all the 3 parts of Utah that were connected to FNAF. New Harmony is one of them.
Yeah, I still question if Fredbear's in the game universe was in New Harmony or if it was just in Hurricane, because as Libra's been quick to point out, Fredbear's is in New Harmony in the books, but the Pizzaplex is in Hurricane. So
That's
like,
interesting.
is Fredbear's really in New Harmony or no? I feel like it's not.
Maybe not.
Might not be, but I'm kind of torn. I don't know.
All right, well, should we talk about You're the Band?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, okay. All right, so first things first. I want to... Did my PC break?
Evan?
I think my PC broke. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. My screen's gone black, though. Hopefully my recording's not broken. If it is, sad. Screen, want to boot up? Again? Hello?
Hi.
Is it, like, not plugged in or something? Did it unplug itself?
Oh yeah, by the way, I guess me and Underscore will have a rivalry according to some.
Underscore?
Oh, yeah.
You and Underscore?
Yeah, him
Yeah.
and Underscore have a rivalry now.
Oh.
Because last night we played Gartic Fun, it was just Emperor Krakoa versus Underscore.
I'm really dumb. The only reason the screen shut off was just because I didn't touch my PC for a long time. So it just like auto like the screen went to black. It didn't break. It just went to black. But You're the Band. First things first. What I want to talk about is the Freddy mask, right? I find it really interesting that Mike is the one associated with this story, and it's involved that there's a Freddy mask, where a kid wears it. So like he's the odd one out. He's in between Bonnie and Chica. He's the odd one out. And then there's the puppet in the ceiling right next to the stage. I find that really similar to the dream sequences of FNAF 2, where we are Freddy, and then there's Bonnie and Chica to the right and left of us, respectively, and they turn and look at us, and then later on the puppet appears in front of us too. And the fact that, like those in the files, I'm pretty sure they're called dreams, right? So, so if Mike is the one associated with them in this story, like he doesn't see the dream, he doesn't experience it or wear the Freddy mask, but he's the one associated with the mask in the story, right? And I feel like that is just like, that makes it, I feel like that hints that Mike is the one that saw them in the games, which could imply that the fact that he wore the player of FNaF 2 wears a Freddy mask through the whole thing, it could mean that it was like that Mike is one of the players of FNaF 2 and not Jeremy, so probably Fritz.
Yes.
That was the idea I had about the Freddy mask. And it could be that maybe like the Freddy mask was the original Freddy mask and that Withered Freddy's was like reconstructed or something, because they are different shapes, right? And then later, and like the shape of the Freddy mask in that we wear is more similar to FNaF 1 Freddy, despite Withered Freddy not having that face, having a different head shape. So maybe the one that we wear is the original one, and like it contains like a piece of Gabriel's spirit or something, and then that's why we see the Freddy. That's why we see the dream sequences. So that's my idea.
It's a good idea, definitely.
I'd like to point out that the fact that, well, you said it before, but there's another thing. So first things first, you talked about how like the stitchline games has been debunked.
Absolutely.
Because of a certain quote.
No, because of like 50 different quotes, bro. I found okay, not 50 literally, but like I found so many things in this story that debunk stitchline games.
Yeah? Really?
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I'm looking at my script for my summary video right now, literally. And that the summary video is going to come out on Monday, I think. Monday? Hold up. Let me check. Today's the 7th, tomorrow's 8th. Yeah, Monday. That video is coming out Monday. This is going out after that. This theory discussion is coming out after that, but right now it's not out yet while we're recording this. But Sylvia says that Timmy has been saying that saying a lot recently that he went to Freddy's, but that there hasn't been any Freddy's locations since the tragic incident 30 years ago. And that's referring to the MCI. It's saying that there hasn't been any Freddy since then, but in the games there's the FNaF 2 location after it and FNaF 1. So that alone just completely debunks stitchline games.
Yeah. Thank God.
All right, let's keep going down. Let's keep going down the script.
We were talking about I was gonna actually talk about the second part when we were just so. And the fact that they talked about the bodies being found, and then we just have the fact that Freddy is haunting it proves that's the MCI.
Yeah, and the fact that like the way that it's described as the kids wearing party hats and being up against the wall, that perfectly matches into the pit, which also takes place 30 years after the MCI.
Yes.
And has the main character going through memories just like Timmy does in this story. It's really similar, right? And like
it is similar.
Yeah. So basically, You're the Band is definitely in the stitchline. I've also heard that it's like You're the Band is mentioned in the final epilogue. Is that true?
It's the bedroom that's supposedly connected.
Yeah, okay. But not only that, there's another thing that shows that it's definitely in the game universe as well. The shadow.
Yes.
The shadow. So yeah, that's it. That's all. The shadow, just simply the shadow.
Well, also, just the fact that you mentioned that proves my theory about how Shadow Freddy was most likely created by William at Midnight Motorist.
Oh yes, let's talk about that. Eleanor in Hide and Seek takes the form of Shadow Bonnie, but is more similar to Shadow Freddy in that it's made, or like it comes from Toby's anger, and it grows sharp teeth just like Nightmare, and Nightmare is Shadow Freddy. So the shadow in Fazbear Frights is more like Shadow Freddy than Shadow Bonnie. And And that also ties into Shadow Bonnie in the games being completely different, because Shadow Bonnie actually helps the kids and is not evil. So that goes against Stitchline games too. And then there's...
Would you say
Yeah?
Eleanor is sort of Shadow Freddy and it's still William's creation?
Yeah, maybe she's like the Shadow Freddy kind of being in the game universe. I mean in the Fazbear Frights universe. Because
Maybe.
because she doesn't seem to be Elizabeth in the books.
No,
Like she
definitely
seems
not.
more like, maybe she's not just Agony because she is a lot more sentient than like other Agony made beings, but like she is at least partially Agony or anger or whatever, any negative emotions, right? And since she's a Shadow, and Shadow Freddy is William's anger and like other negative emotions, yeah, she could be like a Shadow Freddy kind of stand-in. But like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
kinda.
also different from Shadow Freddy in the games too, because like he's pure agony or anger and stuff like that. He's not a baby-like being, you know. And then back to the Shadow back to it being Shadow Freddy, right? There's Midnight Motorist, right?
Yes.
There's the theory about Midnight Motorist that the animatronic out the window is Shadow Freddy. Because, well, first of all, there's only one set of footprints. There's no footprints leading up to the window. I mean, it implies that it just, like, appears out of thin air. Which matches up with the Shadow animatronics. Not only that, in this story, Timmy is lured away by the Shadow and goes to Freddy's. So, in Midnight Motorist, if it's lured away, and Shadow Freddy is William's wickedness, he's a being that kind of represents William in certain aspects. So, like, him luring him away, it matches a lot with William, like how he lures the kids, but, like, the bite victim being lured implies that this could be Shadow Freddy. And that also ties into the seventh victim theory, that the bite victim is the seventh victim, because Midnight Motorist seems to be mentioned in Toy Chica the high school years, but the bite victim wasn't killed during Midnight Motorist, but he was lured, meaning that, and since Shadow Freddy kind of represents William, it makes sense that he would be considered like a lured victim of William, despite it not being William per se.
Okay. Yeah.
Or you know what they will say, like, oh, but they show the part in the bag or whatever.
The part in the bag? What?
Huh? What do you mean by that?
The what?
The victim's part in the high school Toy Chica.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If BB5th is true, then that means the seventh victim is someone else. But it still can't be Andrew, because if BB5th is true, MCI-85 is not true. And if MCI-85 is not true, then Stitchline Games isn't true. So either way, this story, just based on the Midnight Motorist thing, and the seventh victim, or one of the victims being the bite victim, Stitchline Games doesn't work under that. At all.
Not at all.
Yeah. Just like the very existence of the seventh victim, at first, maybe it seems like it would be proof for Stitchline Games, but it actually more so goes against it. Especially if we talk about the FNaF World Update 2 map that has the 6 graves together next to Purple Guy, implying that they were killed by Purple Guy, and then a 7th one off to the side, implying that they weren't killed by Purple Guy because they're not next to Purple Guy.
Yeah, and I've been talking about that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So what else?
Also, I want to ask a real question, but does the boy that gets scared?
The boy that gets
Um.
lured. My idea, I talk about this in my summary video. What if when the bite victim was lured, he was lured to Freddy's or Fredbear's, and he was lured to witness Charlotte's death?
Oh.
Wouldn't he be afraid of his father?
Well, it was in the shadows, so he probably wouldn't know it was his father. But when Shadow Freddy lures him to see that, he's probably scared of Shadow Freddy because, like, why would Shadow Freddy want him to see that? So that would probably be why he was scared to go. Why he's scared of Fredbear, because it looks like Shadow Freddy.
Oh.
Or because Shadow Freddy looks like Fredbear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a feeling
Yeah, I
that
see
he was
that.
afraid of Shadow, because the weirdest thing that I thought about was, why is Nightmare there? But then I realized, hold on, if he's afraid of Shadow Freddy, then that's why.
Yeah,
He's
why?
showing,
Yeah.
Why would there?
showing Michael his greatest fear, which was Nightmare or Shadow Freddy.
Yeah, like, why would Nightmare be like Spring Bonnie? Why? I mean, why wouldn't Nightmare be like Spring Bonnie if it was something
Yeah.
like that? If
Yeah,
Bite Victim was actually
exactly.
scared of like, if Bite Victim was actually scared of Spring Bonnie, then why wouldn't Nightmare look like Spring Bonnie, like, or like
Right.
Shadow Bonnie?
Yeah, like Nightmare would literally be a rabbit instead of a bear.
Yeah.
And another thing I keep pointing out is that Spy Victim is always around Fredbear's, and if he was afraid of Freddy's, then he would be, well, elsewhere.
Wait, what?
Which, explain please?
Okay. So what I'm saying is that he would have to be like near Freddy's, but it doesn't seem like he is. Oh, just okay. Anyway,
I don't understand what
So-
you're saying.
Yeah, neither do
I'll
I.
explain this. He's mostly afraid of Fredbear's in particular.
Yeah.
And there might be an implication that he was at Freddy's, but he's mostly afraid of Fredbear's because it keeps telling him, you know what will happen if he catches you with Fredbear, and then,
Mm-hmm.
don't you remember what you saw at the stage area?
Honestly, no matter what, the Bite Victim couldn't have seen the MCI. Even if he was part of
No,
it,
there's no way.
all the kids were lured separately. They weren't all together. They weren't all grouped together when they died. They were all lured separately. So even if the Bite Victim was part of it, he didn't see anything. Something was done to him. Because the safe room is off limits to guests. And if William was killing kids, you think he left the door open? Like, seriously?
Yeah, that's
No,
something that I've
no,
been
there's no
questioning.
way.
Like,
Oh, you're just telling me that Charlie just opened the door and just let her friend die?
yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
why would... I feel like Puppet would have intervened. Because, like, she is definitely in the Fredbear plushie. Like, I don't think she's talking through it, but she's definitely watching the Bite Victim through it during the minigames. And probably before that, because she's already dead by that point. So, if the MCI was before the Bite, or, like, just if the Bite Victim was being lured in general, why wouldn't Puppet intervene? Also, speaking of
Right.
Puppet, I
Because
want to
Puppet's
talk
not
about...
possessed.
I also want to talk about Puppet and You're the Band, because of,
Yeah, Puppet was
because
in Near the Band.
yeah, also it could tie more into Puppet actually being part of the Blob because of the fact that, well, before this story, it was just Nightmare Yawn that we knew of that had tentacles, and not the puppet. But in this story, the puppet does have tentacles that are very similar to Nightmare Yawn's, right? So it could mean that the puppet is part of the Blob, or like just controls the wires or something. And like I know that like there's no tear tracks, but like that's another thing I've been saying. Like, first of all, she's probably somewhere else, like in the Nightmare staff bots. But even if she's not, or if she's in two places at once, she could have like gone into the wires rather than stayed in her mask, you know. But that's my point is, like, the puppet is in the FNaF 1 location, it seems like. So, like, is that, like, where she's been hiding in FNaF 1? Like, why we don't see her in FNaF 1? She's above the stage in, like, a hatch? In, like, a trap door or something?
Maybe.
I think she was moved from Fredbear's to Freddy's, to be honest.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, well, what else do we gotta talk about?
What else is there to talk about?
So wasn't there? I just asked this, but didn't the boy that was lured by the Shadow Freddy look-alike get scared of it?
Timmy, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, no, because like he was under control of Gabriel.
Oh. Is
Yeah.
that possible? Do you think that by victim was maybe not? It's
No,
probably not. But
no. No, I don't think that.
Neither do I.
Yeah. I just think that it is a reference to Midnight Motorist just in general. I should probably stop touching my mic. I think it's a reference to Midnight Motorist in general, but like Timmy himself isn't really the bite victim except in that regard.
in the parallels, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What is? Oh yeah. Can we talk about how people are like, oh, Stitchline Games is true because Mike is here and he's a security guard at Freddy's, but they ignore the fact that Mike is in his early 20s in 2015.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
Like really? Mike by that point would be like 50. Even under Mike victim, he would be like 45 at least. Wait, hold up. Let me do the math. 2015. Let's say he's like 7 at the youngest. In 1983. So, all right. So at the very youngest, this is under Mike victim, and if the bite victim were like 7 during FNaF 4, which he's probably older than that, but at the very youngest in 2015, the Mike would be 39.
Oh.
Hmm.
Oh.
But under Mike Bro, he would be like assuming Mike would be like 16 in FNaF 4, Mike would be 2015 minus 1967 is 48. Mike would be 48 under Mike Bro in 2015, not early 20s. So yeah, that goes against Stitchline Games.
Thank God.
Come on.
Yep. All right. Anything else to talk about before we wrap it up?
I don't
Well,
know.
I guess the bedroom. Just
The
the fact that it ties
bedroom.
into the epilogue.
Yeah, I still haven't read the epilogue.
Oh yeah, you'll have
after
to
like
read
after
it.
like how long? Like 8 months.
If you want, just
Wow.
talk about the description of the bedroom and then tie it into the epilogue and see if it matches.
I just remember he had the Freddy mask in it, but there was like I think he. Yeah, I don't remember. Maybe I'll look back at it maybe later, but
All right.
Sounds good.
yeah. Anything else?
I guess the question on the canon is the
You're the Band is canon. The Scoop is not. Felix the Shark, like maybe, but like nothing really proving that it is
Yeah.
or that it's
we
not.
know that they're scrap stories, but it's so weird how some things are canon to the Stitch line.
I mean, the fact that they were scrap stories mean that they were considered at one point. So like, if they were considered at one point, then that means that they would definitely like have to have some elements in them that are canon, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
I just wonder why You're the Band would have been scrapped.
Yeah.
If it since it is in the Stitch line 100%, why was it scrapped? I don't understand that. But
Maybe it was to, because Into the Pit was already confusing enough as it is, so I think the connection there would have made it even more confusing since many would assume it was a false memory.
yeah, maybe. Maybe like it was too similar to Into the Pit, and Into the Pit was like kind of exclusive.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe that's why it was scrapped. All right. Well, are we done?
It sounds like it if there's anything
I mean,
else.
if there's nothing left to talk about, then I guess we're done.
I don't think there is.
All right then.
Before we end the video, let's talk about opinions. What do you guys think of the book and the stories?
You're the
I
Band.
want-
Amazing. It was really good.
I like that it was like short, so it was like packed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I get what that
Felix the Shark dragged on too much.
Yeah, Felix the Shark.
It was good at the beginning, the middle, and the end. 3/4 of the way through, it got boring because like it was just him solving puzzles. Reading about
Yeah.
that, it's not fun to read about that, you know.
Yeah.
All I can just say is we can literally make a meme of Felix the Shark and just say yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because he said it like 50 times. Like, he wouldn't shut up about the word yes. Apparently, he loves it.
Oh, how Dirk will
Whoops.
do in the bedroom. Yes!
Okay, so Felix the Shark, I'd rate it like a 6 out of 10. It dragged on too much. If it didn't drag on, it would have been like a 7 or 8 out of 10, but it just got too boring at a certain point.
It
Yeah.
sounded like it was boring.
It was a little boring, honestly.
But yeah, opinions on the scoop. The scoop.
FNaF service.
I love it because it's funny.
It was pretty funny.
It was like in terms of emotions, it's like the Sam Raimi movies the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. Like, it had a lot of heart in it, you know, but like it's also hilarious. In certain points, probably unintentionally, but also intentionally in other parts of it, you know. So I'd rate it like 8 out of 10. I think.
I'd go a bit lower, probably like a 7 or something.
Yeah, fair enough. And you're the band. You're the band.
Oh,
I think that was the best one.
Yeah, 10
Absolutely. I wouldn't say 10 out of 10. I'd say like 9.5 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, but it was good.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect. Definitely like 9, 9.5, or 10 for me.
Yeah, I'd say 9.5 out of 10. So let's calculate the average. How would we rank the book? 6 plus 8 plus 9.5 equals that. Divided by 3 equals. All right, Felix the Shark book, 7.83 out of 10. That's my rating. What was your ranking, Starwolf?
For Felix the Shark, I would give it a 7 out of 10.
7?
For the scoop, it's gonna get a 6.5, and then I'm actually gonna say 9.5 for the band. You're the band.
For the band. 23 divided by 3 equal... Wait, no. Whoops. 23 divided by 3 equals 7.67. Alright, so a tiny bit lower than mine. Krakoa, what would you rate it?
Oh, remember, I haven't really read it. I only read the summary.
Well, from the summaries, what would you give the stories?
Felix the Shark, I would say, just from the, especially the yes meme, I would call it a 5.5 for Felix.
Okay.
The scoop, a 7.5, and then this last story would be 9.
9. Alright. 22 divided by 3. Jesus Christ. No. 22 divided by 3 equals 7.3. I gave it a 7. I gave it a 7.83. Star gave it a 7 point. I think it was like 6.3 or something like that.
6 something, I know.
Wait. 23 divided by 3 equals. Yeah. No. 7.67. And Krakoa got a 7.3. All right. Well. So. Yeah. The book was pretty good.
It was.
I liked it.
Yep.
I'd say it was a good way to end off the Fazbear Frights story.
Yeah, especially I think You're the Band is a really good ending for it.
Yes, definitely.
All right, well, I think we're gonna end it there.
All right.
Say goodbye.
Bye.
The Emperor signing off.
I love how you do that every single time. All right, bye guys.
Bye.